today's event, hosted by the PHC Chamber of Commerce. We are gathered here to delve into a topic of immense importance, ramping up ammunition production in India to meet global demand. Today we are extremely honoured to have with us Shri Anurag Bajpayee, IFOS, Additional Secretary, Defence Production Ministry of Defence, Government of India, Air Marshal Ashutosh Dikshit, Deputy Chief of the Air Staff, Indian Air Force, Vice Admiral Sanjay Matsai, Deputy Chief of IDS, Minister of Defence, Government of India, Shri P. Upadhyay Ji, General V.K. Sharma Ji, Shri Hariman Ji, Colonel Kuber, and my colleague and very close friend, Mr. Gupta, the co-chair and the MD of Star Wire India. In today's world, characterized by rapid technological advancements, geopolitical shifts, and evolving security challenges, the need for a robust and self-reliant defense sector could never be more critical. As India takes strides towards becoming a global manufacturing hub for defense equipment, the spotlight is on enhancing ammunition production capabilities to meet both domestic and global demand. The defense and aerospace sector plays a vital role in India's economic strategic leadership, with increased emphasis on indigenization, innovation, and self-sufficiency. The Indian defense industry is poised for significant growth opportunities. Ramping up ammunition production is not just about meeting current demands, but also about positioning India as a reliable supplier in the international market. The journey towards enhancing ammunition production involves a multifaceted approach, including technology infusion, R&D, and collaboration with global partners, along with internal skill development and policy reform for sure. It requires a concerted effort from government bodies, industry players, academia, and research institutions to create an ecosystem that fosters efficiency and competitiveness. Today's discussions and deliberations will explore strategies, challenges, and opportunities in ramping up ammunition production in India. We have the privilege to hear from experts, industry leaders, and policymakers who will share their insights, experience, and vision for the future of the defense manufacturing sector. I humbly urge all participants to actively engage in the sessions, exchange ideas, and contribute towards charting a roadmap, not only that strengthens India's defense capabilities, but also contributes to global peace and security. Together, let us embark on this journey of transformation and progress. Thank you and Jai Hind.
There are challenges built up in this country, and as late as about a couple of days ago, there was a company based in Bangalore named Flying Wedge, which also demonstrated a bomber, and they are talking about a main UAV. So where they lead themselves to, but they have a vision. And they are also already producing subsystems, they are producing components, they have started looking at the entire value chain of the ammunition, and therefore I think we are in some good times, and we need to really ramp up this, and there is only one way to do it. I take request to Srimad Bhagavad Gita again. Lord Krishna says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi eko hi kurandana. A resolute mind, there is only one way. Eko hi Kurunanda. Kurunanda, there is only one way with the resolute mind. Bahushaka hi anantascha. Buddhayo avyavasaya. A mind that is not resolute has infinite branches and will not reach anywhere. Therefore, I urge the powers that be to have a Vyavasayatmika buddhi, to have a resolute mind. Let us start with ambition. Jai Hind, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for a good perspective, a good analysis, sir. A lot of food for thought and points for the other speakers to delve upon, sir. I would now request Shri Hari Mohanji, the former DG and Chairman of the Factory Board, who is an experienced industry professional, has been on the other side. I would invite him to share his thoughts. Shri Hari Mohanji.
Helicopter launched weaponized drone challenge, which I'm actually encouraged sometimes I'm surprised, sometimes I'm amazed, sometimes I don't know where I am. Because the ratio of the challenge that the MOD has been throwing, if I take the statistics from the time it was launched, sometime around 2001.
Colonel K.V. Kuber, who is a PhD student of Srimad Bhagavad Gita and has been at the Center of Procurement as the Director General of Capital Acquisition in MOD. Let us hear from him the analyst's perspective.
respected dignitaries on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. Day 802 of the Ukraine-Russia war, and there is no sign of ceasefire. Worsening further, Russia has publicly announced drills involving tactical nuclear weapons, although its strategic nuclear forces regularly hold exercises. On the other side of the world, every heart beats faster when we see what's happening in Gaza. Now Rafah. Then there is Armenia, Azerbaijan, Syria, Sudan, Iran, Hezbollah. I mean, I do not know the conflict zones, how many of them are there, but I know one thing, that ammunition is being dispersed faster than food and water. That is the theme that is there today. I take inspiration from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita for the only reason that Lord Krishna gave this advice to an army commander of the caliber of Arjuna. And when there is so much of sorrow around, I think it's very important for us to understand this, and I quote from the Bhagavad Gita. Dukkeshu anudvikmanaha, sukkeshu vigataspaha, vita raga bhaya krodha, sthita dheepa nichate. So an army commander has to rise above sorrow and should not get exalted in happiness and leave behind greed, attachment and anger, and be a man of steady wisdom. That is what army commanders are about, and that is where they can really open up themselves and say this is where it is. According to the Wall Street Journal, the cost of a 155 mm artillery shell has increased fourfold since the start of the war. It is about $8,400 today. Finland is investing about $130 million. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan talked about underestimating the need of munitions. So we just cannot underestimate the need of munitions. That's what is the need today. That's what is begging for your attention. When we see Ukraine and Russia most recently, shortage of ammunition has contributed to Ukraine's most recent withdrawal from the town of Avdiivka. Russia appears to be producing nearly 3 times more artillery munitions than US and Europe together. So many more such statistics they importing. Russia is also importing ammunition. And Iran has provided more than about 300,000 artillery shells in 2023. NATO signed a $1.1 billion with for 155 artillery rounds, likely to yield around 220,000 rounds from next term. France aims to deliver about 80,000 shells. Spain has awarded Rheinmetall. Russian air forces are using the thermobaric bombs. Ukraine army has made what is called as a new locally made loitering munition, which is RAMX, also dubbed as Upro Lancers. So what's happening here is we have to worry about the cost of war. What is the cost of producing an ammunition? Is it a good idea to produce cheap ammunition and keep throwing it? Or is it a good idea to invest in sophisticated ammunition and use it sparingly? Israel Hamas, US halted a shipment of ammunition bound for Israel last week. And IDF is grappling with shortage of ammo, but also looking to cut off the dependence from the world. And there we are when we talked about Atmanirbhar Bharat, which we launched in 2014. Indian Army has finalized a 10-year ammunition plan. 85% of this has been indigenized. More than about 30 variants, amounting to 16,000 crores. Army has about 10 to 12 categories, 30 variants. I think they have launched it in a way that today we are talking in terms of exports. The government of India has imposed an embargo on several ammunition like 127 mm for ships, 214mm rocket, 105 blank ammunition for the army, the armor piercing ABFSDS, the 5.56 45, the 155 with course correctable fuses, 30mm for infantry fighting systems. There are a number of Indian players over there, and most of them are in the room. MIL has got an export order worth 6,000 crores. They have exported ammunition and explosives. They are producing 125mm Mango tank shells. So a lot is happening between MIL, YIL, and they also won an order for about 225 million contract supply to Saudi Arabia. On one side, I see Saudi Arabia, UAE, the Middle East, they are stocking ammunition. Even dawn of COVID, the entire Eastern Europe was under strain. The ammunition producing factories of Eastern Europe were under strain, and all this accumulation was taking place in the Middle East. One was wondering why. And why is that they are stocking ammunition in such large numbers? From the R&D side, we have TVRL, which is working on various warheads. IIT Madras has signed up with MIL. The question is, why is India not yet converting this crisis into an opportunity? Is it a capacity constraint? And therefore, it's very relevant that we are discussing ramping up ammunition today. Is it lack of availability of raw material? There's a lot of work going on in the MOD, and the National Secretary is aware of the type of efforts that he's putting in to bring about what is called as a PLI scheme for the defense sector too. So we need to stock up for our domestic needs. We need to think in terms of our export customers, and given how wars are today, they are not short wars. We need to understand that stockpiling ammunition will be one of the most important aspects that we need to focus on. There are some niche technologies in terms of ammunition production, additive manufacturing, smart ammunition, electromagnetic propulsion, laser ignition systems, nanotechnologies, biodegradable training ammunition, environmentally friendly ammunition, sensors, electronics, programmable ammunition.
The entire procurement of ammunition is a revenue procurement, we all know, and probably one of the most important functions of the MGS branch. I invite Major General B.K. Sharma, SMBSM, the ADG procurement, to give the procurement perspective and the demand side and what is lying in the store for the industry.
Speakers before me have spoken about the industry perspective on ammunition. I shall now be talking this issue from the user perspective. It's normally said that it's a buyer's market. Normally the buyer decides what he wants, what is the competition, how does he procure it. Ammunition is one field. Today it's a seller's market. Seller is deciding at what price he wants to give this ammunition, to whom does he want to give this ammunition, at what cost he wants to give this ammunition, in what time frame he wants to give this ammunition. There can't be a better environment than this for the industry. But then, as the speakers before me have highlighted, you can't ramp up the ammunition manufacturing in a day or 2 days or 3 days. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You have to slog, you have to slog, and you have to slog to reach the expertise which is required in ammunition manufacturing, so that you have the desired quality, desired capacity to meet the industry expectations. Our visionary Prime Minister, when he took over in his first term, gave this call for Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance in all manufacturing processes, and especially defense production. We couldn't have visualized in 2014, 15, 16 what the environment will be in 2021, 22, 23. But that vision is coming to a good stead today for us. When we see what is the environment today, you go with the money, there's no supply. because his capacities are booked for next 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So I'll give my perspective from the procurement angle, from the user perspective, and how industry can ramp up things to meet the future requirement. Because as Colonel Kuber had highlighted, this demand is ever increasing. The countries which never had armies are now looking at their defense. They are now looking how to equip their forces to meet the future challenges. Government of India has taken various policy initiatives which we are all aware of. Defense manufacturing was opened up for the industry for the first time. Explosive licenses were allowed for the industry. Defense corridors were set up. All this has helped us in reaching where we are today. Under the guidance of Government of India, Indian Army launched an initiative for indigenizing their ammunition. We started with the vision that in next couple of years, we'll have zero import of ammunition. It was a tall vision. Tall vision because in 60, 70 years before that, we were always dependent on imports for meeting our critical ammunition requirements. And it is the active cooperation of all the stakeholders, Government of India, Ministry of Defence, ordnance factories, industry partners, that today I am so happy to convey that we are very close to realizing our vision of zero import. Next financial year, 25-26 onwards, we will not have any import of ammunition other than quantities where the economical order quantities are not available for small quantities, where it is not economical for the industry to get into that particular ammunition. Indian Army has about 175 odd ammunition items. 154 of them have been indigenized. We are 100% sourcing it from Indian sources. Balance 21 also, as Colonel Kuber had highlighted, we have that Government of India initiative for manufacturing of ammunition through Indian Industry Initiative. 1600 crores worth of supply orders under that. 30 variants, 12 ammunition items, they are all being progressed. 2 contracts already signed, 4 contracts at the contract stage now, balance all in trial stage. We are very, very hopeful of rectifying all those in next 1 year. All this would not have been possible without the active participation of the industry. They have been very, very forthcoming, ramping up their capacities, setting up their plants, tying up the transfer of technologies, ensuring consortiums to meet up the demands. Private industry has the intent and the capability to meet the requirement of Indian Armed Forces as also the export requirements. What they need is the right direction. When I say right direction, they must understand what is the market, where is the demand, what gaps they can cover. Indian Army only is buying ammunition worth 6,000 to 8,000 crores annually. And all this is now going to come 100% from Indian sources. As of now, 5 to 10% of it is coming to export. This is also going to increase almost 8 to 10% every year due to our growing requirements. As far as world requirement is concerned, Colonel Kuber had highlighted, potential is immense. More than $30 billion worth of market is available. We are not even 1% of that is being met through Indian sources. We have the capacity to come to 5 to 10% in next 4 to 5 years, and maybe 25 to 30% as the year goes. What are the countries, what are the industries which are currently into this business? If we look at Europe, primarily France, Sweden, bulk of the requirements are coming from there. Old Russian bloc, those particular equipment, Russia, Bulgaria and other old countries which were part of the Russian bloc. Coming to the African continent, South Africa is a major player as far as ammunition is concerned, and then in the South America, Brazil. So these are the 4, 5, 6 areas where bulk of the ammunition requirements are coming, and they are not able to cope up with today's requirement. Where we have an advantage, bulk of the raw materials are available indigenously. Our labor cost is among the cheapest in the world. No one can compete with us in terms of cost if we ramp up our capacities. Where we need to work is on the quality, innovation, R&D, for which the industry need to put up their efforts. As far as product identification is concerned, we have talked about demand is there everywhere. Coming to small arms, a very, very robust ecosystem of small arms ammunition has come up in India. We have 6 to 8 industry partners, serious players who are currently supplying ammunition to the Indian Army. Quality ammunition, quality plants, excellent ammunition which is being produced. And they have a capacity to meet the world demand. But when it comes to medium caliber, heavy caliber, currently our reliance is primarily on Munitions India Limited because the capacities are not there in the industry. They are building up capacities slowly. I'm sure in a couple of years we'll have that capacity. So in medium caliber, we are looking earnestly at 30 mm, 23 mm, 40 mm. And these are the calibers for which there is a worldwide demand. When you are looking at developing capacities, I would request the industry to look at where is a universal demand for a particular ammunition, so that if one source is not demanding, there is another source where the demand is existing. So 23 mm, 30 mm, 40 mm, there is a huge scope. Coming to the heavy caliber, as the earlier speakers have highlighted, 155 mm, more you produce, more there is a demand. You will never be able to meet the demand, what kind of demands are existing. Indian Army itself has a robust demand for 155 mm caliber. Our RT mediumization plan is currently underway. Our major caliber will be only 155 mm. 400 odd regiments, out of that 200 to 300 regiments of 155 caliber. There is immense demand indigenously as well as in the world market. Rockets, we have seen what rockets are capable of. 122 mm, Grad, Pinaka, Smirch. These are the rockets which have demand worldwide. Currently, we don't have much players into this field. Tank ammunition. Armored piercing discarding some APFSPS. Currently, there is a huge dearth of capacity as far as this ammunition is concerned. But when industry is looking at this, I will request them to look at higher DOT ammunition, not the 460 version, which is now redundant, seeing that what any attacks are capable of protecting. Look at 560 caliber and beyond, 560 mm and beyond caliber, and we'll be able to support that kind of demand. Currently, our availability of this ammunition is meager. And when it comes to anti-tank ammunition, 84 mm RM, tandem warheads, more you can produce, more it can be taken on. There is immense demand by the Indian Army as well as for the world. So there is immense demand for all calibers, all types, depending on where your expertise lies. Besides this, you need to be agile, you need to be innovative, look at R&D, look at creating new demands. Loiter ammunition, smart ammunition, there is enough demand which is coming for this kind of ammunition in the future battlefield. And more you can produce, better ammunition you can produce, there will be immense requirement for that. So, ramp up your capacities, create quality ammunition, have a competitive costing, and I can assure you, as a buyer, there will be adequate demand to meet entire industry's requirement from the Indian Army and the world. People will be after you to supply, your capacities will be booked for year on year if you can give that quality. But as lives are involved in aviation, if your quality is an issue, then I'm very sorry to say that you may take one order, two orders, but subsequently it will not last, because the reputation matters a lot in aviation, because lives are dependent on that. Thank you very much. I'm very, very confident that Indian industry is capable of meeting not only Indian Army's or Indian Armed Forces requirement, it can meet bulk of their world requirement. The world is looking at India today.
I would like to invite Shri P. Upadhyay, DG ONA, Director General Naval Armaments, to deliberate on the subject.
Shri Anurag Vajpayee, Vice Admiral Sanjay Sen, the Marshal, other dignitaries on the dais, the August gathering, industry players over here. I hope there are some young and keen entrepreneurs in the form of startups are also available here. Thankful to PhD for giving an opportunity to speak before you on the topic which is very, very relevant in today's time. As the previous speakers have spoken, the world scenario is, especially geopolitical, is changing, and it necessitates that a nation has to ensure that its defense and security capabilities are non-negotiable. The essence of national security lies not just in possessing advanced ammunition and weapons, but also in having a robust ammunition production infrastructure to support our defense forces. In this background, India has long back recognized the criticality of self-reliance in defense production, and the wars of 62, 65, 1971 made it all the more clear. Over the years, the nation has made significant strides in bolstering its indigenous manufacturing capabilities across various sectors including defense. However, when it comes to the production of ammunition, there is a pressing need for enhancement and acceleration in production. And this is what I would say from my last 3 decades of experience, that there is a serious need about ramping up the ammunition capacity to meet our own demands. Forget about going to the export. The fact that even after 75 years of independence, we still depend on import of ammunition, it speaks of volume about urgency of ramping up production of ammunition in India. It would not only strengthen our defense preparedness, but also align with the larger vision of Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. The ongoing conflicts have already had adverse impact on the supply chain of ammunition, and this is as maintainer we are facing on the ground. Thus, we must reduce our dependence on imports and take all measures to foster indigenous production. This will not only ensure a steady supply of ammunition, but also create employment opportunities, boost technological innovation, and bolster our economy. Historically, India's defense production was mainly controlled by public sectors with limited participation from private players. However, in recent years, the government has taken several steps to encourage private sector's participation in the defense industry, and now we have seen the results of those efforts which have been made by the government of India and the active role being played by the private players. Now let us dwell into some of the key initiatives and policies that are driving India's ammunition production landscape. Firstly, the Make in India initiative of Government of India has been a game changer. It aims to transform India into a global manufacturing hub by promoting indigenous production through policy support, incentives, and infrastructure development. Under this umbrella, the defense sector has received significant attention with initiatives like defense production policy and defense acquisition procedures, focusing on enhancing domestic manufacturing capabilities, including ammunition. Now, why I am talking about this? Basically, I just want to cite one example.
Shri Anurag Gagde, Regional Secretary, Ministry of Defence, chief guest of the event, and galaxy of dignitaries on the dais, and the industry champions, the members of PLD Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I congratulate the Chamber for selecting the topic. And I think this kind of a conference happening for the first time. And this is happening especially in the what happened in the previous 3-4 years, the global wars happening, and we have been watching and we have been getting all kinds of reports. And one lesson which all the countries learn out of these wars is that we may have a lot of air attack capability, we may have a lot of missiles, we may do a lot of air attacks, but ultimately the decisive portion of the war takes place on the ground. And on the ground, it is the army, infantry and the supportive forces which fight on the ground, the armored columns, and various wings of the army, they fight on the ground, and on the ground you fight with ammunition. And it's rightly pointed out by Colonel Kuwait that the consumption of ammunition is happening faster than food. And this is what has been witnessed with the recent incidents. So there is a real global shortage of ammunition all over the world, and this country, with the kind of technological capability, with the kind of industrial base available here, this country is getting multiple inquiries for the variety of ammunition. Wherever this country is not able to provide ammunition, the importers are looking for hardware, means empty shell. Components may not be the full-fledged ammunition. The components of ammunition are also getting exported, and the kind of inquiries which this country is getting, we are not able to meet the requirement. And this is how our chamber has selected this topic, that how do we take the advantage, how do we take this opportunity for the advantage for the industry of the country, that we get into in this field in a larger manner. You must be observing, many of you must be aware that, there's a real shortage of artillery ammunition. Lot of demand for 155 mm shells, lot of demand for 105 mm shells, lot of demand for 122 mm shells. There is similarly a demand for tank ammunition, 125 mm HE FSAPDS, 120 mm HE FSAPDS, 30 mm ammunition required for the infantry combat vehicles, that is required, 12.7 ammunition for anti-aircraft guns, that is required, 23 mm ammunition, 40 mm ammunition, all variety of small arms ammunition used by the infantry, anti-tank mines, anti-personnel mines, aerial bombs also there are demands. Aerial bombs there are a lot of demands, and all these ammunition, many of these ammunition have a, we call it something like a brain of the ammunition, that is called fuse of the ammunition. The fuse ensures that the ammunition doesn't explode at our own end. It should be safely delivered to the enemy end, and it should do the damage there. So that is the role of the fuse, and fuse is a one thing which I will be deliberating a little further also, that is one of the important opportunity for all the industry champions. Lot of rockets are required, mortar ammunition is required, even drone there is a lot of requirement, because with the drone you can deliver the ammunition in the enemy area and you can do the damage. Now, to many of us, the ammunition may be slightly a newer field. Let me tell you, ammunition employs all kinds of technologies which are there in the industry. There is a requirement of casting, there is a requirement of investment casting, there is a requirement of forgings, there is a requirement of precision machining, there is a requirement of springs, there's a requirement of precision parts, lot of chemicals, explosives, compounds which are required for ammunition filling. Then for ammunition to be delivered to our forces or the users to the customer, it requires elaborate and safe packing arrangement. And thereafter, once it is delivered to the depots and for taking forward to the field areas, it again requires further support. So these are a variety of opportunities which are available from the industry. Now, this is the, you can say, the rosy side of the picture for the industry, that as if everybody should get into ammunition and we should quickly set the ammunition factory and start doing good business. It is not so easy. See, it requires multiple technologies, and that is why, and you know very well that the military standards are very high standards. Whichever field you go, in the military field, everything will be highly optimized design, and that will have lot of expectations from the industry. And in case of ammunition, it's a mass manufacturing. So mass manufacturing is another challenge, and there you cannot do. Once there is a problem in the mass manufacturing, it becomes extremely difficult. Just give you an example, this country must be manufacturing almost like 10 lakh plus small arms ammunition per day. More than 10 lakh small arms ammunitions are getting manufactured in this country per day. And this manufacturing process flows like a river. And if there is an obstacle, and there are multiple quality checks, and if there is an obstacle, it becomes extremely difficult to hold this river. So then, that is the challenge of the mass manufacturing. Similarly, 155 cells, there is an elaborate setup for folding of the cells. And if there is a problem, one problem in the production line, you can imagine the kind of accumulation which can take place on the shop floor. So there are a lot of challenges also associated. I would only like to mention to the industry that there is a lot of expertise available in the country, lot of technological base available in the country. You should find suitable partners. It's extremely, maybe huge companies can get into manufacture of full-fledged ammunition. Even they will find it difficult. So it is better to form joint ventures, find associates, find partners, and may take a consortium approach for getting into the manufacturing of the ammunition. Before we get into that, before a company can think of delivering a product, you can make a beginning, you can start making ammunition components, you can start making ammunition chemicals required. Even there are companies which are there in the field of civilian explosives, and they are already graduating into military explosives. All those changes are taking place, and from the policy environment point of view, the way government is supporting the defense manufacturing.
If I see in the last 4 years, not less than 40 licenses have been given in the ammunition sector. We are aware that the task of ramping up of capacities is full of challenges, and if I mention some of them, then access to critical technologies for advanced ammunition production in India is very restricted. That is why we are encouraging indigenization of various type of ammunitions through make process, defense innovation or other routes. Very few countries in the world make special purpose machines for ammunition production, and there are very stringent export controls. We have come across some instances also recently. So therefore, there is a need for indigenization, no doubt about that. And that is what we are trying to intensify. Because non-availability of the special purpose machines makes the task of modernization and upgradation of production facilities further difficult. Raw material dependencies is also there, particularly on few nations. The input material required for ammunition production are of military standards which have stringent QR, as compared to the commercial grade materials. We know it very well. This dependence creates vulnerabilities to supply chain disruptions and price fluctuations. Therefore, we need to look at our planning process. We have to maintain our inventory, because I also look at the imports of materials, raw materials, particularly for ammunition. When I see these imports, I found two challenges. One of them, that the industry, how they are, what are their plans for the consumption, for how long they are going to store, and the consumption pattern. Because I am mentioning it here, there is need to monitor the consumption pattern when something is imported, particularly in case of explosives, primers. And that is what we are looking at, to develop a kind of a portal also, so that when the things are imported, when these items are imported, we can also monitor, because it should not go into the wrong hands. There are instances which we have come across where the imports have been made, but the reports are there that it has gone into wrong hands as well. So that is an important area for the industry. Moreover, the agility to change with the technology, because we know we are in the age of the technology, and every 4 years the technology changes and new weapons are coming, new ammunitions, new type of ammunitions are coming. So the industry needs to work constantly on the technology, and there it is our startups who come into the picture. The industry needs to collaborate with the startups, because my previous speakers have mentioned about the brains, and these are young brains. They know how the technology can be evolved over a period of time. So you always have a period of 3 to 4 years for a particular technology, and then the agility to change is a very important point for an industry to ramping up their production of ammunition. Important area. We need to look at the training part, because the initial adaptation time for newer technology is longer in Indian conditions due to non-availability of trained workforce. Then we have also heard that military standards are of very high nature. So compliance of stringent quality checks during ammunition production and proof firing, this is another area where industry has to look at, and similarly its employees also should be aware of that. The production agencies must ensure that security and other safeguards required are put in place as per the global standards. There is need to adopt strategies for ramping up of production capacities. Some of them which I would like to mention, that upgrading your existing infrastructure and machinery is crucial. As I mentioned, that we need to be agile with the changing technologies. Investment in automation and advanced manufacturing techniques can increase production capacity. Promoting R&D and development of local skill sets, which we have already mentioned about, and then about the standardization. I don't know how many standards, or how many ammunition the standards have been made by our Directorate of Standardization, but certainly this is an area which needs to be looked at, because it will bring joint interoperability also. It will also bring uniform standards for the industry, and this will also optimize the resource allocation. India also, through Make in India initiative, wherein the financial support incentives are also being given for establishment of production facilities for new components, existing components. You all are aware that we provide funds to private industries, including MSMEs and startups, for design development of various defense products, including ammunition, under the schemes like MAKE, TDF, DCPP, IDEX. So there are opportunities for the industry to look for funds and go for the newer technology which can be of use, particularly in this sector, in this domain. My previous speakers have already spoken about defense corridors, but here I would like to mention one important point. In the defense corridor, we are coming up with defense testing infrastructure, and that will be open for all the industries, including MSMEs and startups. And ammunition is one of the domain which is being covered under this defense testing infrastructure scheme, and I think it is likely to come within a year or two. Moreover, the government has already opened its proof testing facility to the industry for testing their products through its various establishments to make Indian defense products more competitive in the international market. Government has also waived off, I don't know how many of you are aware, we have waived off quality assurance charges levied by the QA agencies under its administrative control for the stores meant for exports. This industry-friendly initiative would make the defense product cost competitive in the global market. Now coming to other points that regarding the policies which we frame, we are always, as a government, we are always open to bring reforms, bring new policy initiatives, and as I have always mentioned in every forum that the policies are dynamic in nature. So please come up with, wherever you find that there are challenges, so please come up with those suggestions that what you require, we are open to that. In case of exports particularly, I would like to mention, because this also I have noticed most of the time, that when you go for export, then there is a challenge of end user certificate. And in case of end user certificate, particularly in the present geopolitical scene, I must say, you need to come up with the entire chain of end users. And the government of that particular country must mention that they will not send it to any other country. Because on one side we are exporting, but we cannot ignore our diplomacy with various countries. So it is a kind of a balance between the diplomacy and exports. So don't think that means for any country to come with the export order, it will be possible, particularly in the present geopolitical situation. Because country has, at the initial statement I have mentioned that as Government of India, as the Indian philosophy, we spread the universal peace. So this aspect is very important for all of us. We are open to forming, if you go for formation of JVs within India or outside the country, we facilitate it. So that is not a challenge. Please go ahead if you find an opportunity with any country or any industry. So we support it.
I extend my sincere gratitude to each and every one of you for your invaluable contributions.
Marshal Ashutosh Dikshit ji. To Vice Admiral Sanjay.
Thank you.
The Additional Director General Procurement AGS Branch. To Colonel K.D. Kubel, Director of Space and Defense. And last, thank you so much all the dignitaries of the Dais for your kind presence. We have very important session.
Whether it was in Azerbaijan, the Middle East, we have seen that the requirement of ammunition is there and will always be there, because conflicts is one thing which, although you want to avoid, cannot be avoided. That is human nature. To get into conflict and get into a fight for whatever they feel is right. So ammunition is one thing which also provides security to a country. It provides the safety that in case we are getting into a prolonged war, then we have the capacity to fight it out. And the countries which do not have the capacity to fight it out, they are likely to be in a weaker position. We have seen, we were talking about ammunition production a few years back, and they were saying the world capacity, the ammunition industry, they were trying to calculate the size of the ammunition industry. It was talked about to be between 20 billion to 30 billion dollars, the size of the ammunition industry. After the start of the Ukraine conflict, what we have seen is people are now talking about 50 to 60 billion. You can just imagine that is a kind of size increase which has taken in the overall ammunition production market. It is, if this conflict rightly subsides, the ammunition production requirement is slightly going to go down. It is mentioned in our knowledge paper which was released a short while back. And this knowledge paper, I just wanted to tell you that please do go through this knowledge paper. It has been painstakingly brought together and it brings out a lot of important facts. Without without getting into more preliminaries, let's get to the topic for the day which has been set for this panel. And here I would like to mention that one of the key factors which was told to me when this panel was being formulated was that this panel should bring up some recommendations which we are hoping will ensure that the ramping up of ammunition production facilities in India happens. And if there are any bottlenecks, we would like those to be listed out so that we can recommend from the PhD chambers to the government that these policy changes are required in A, B, C, D areas. That is the whole aim of getting together and spending this entire day together here. So now I just will start off. It is not in any random order. It is just about the way I have structured my thoughts today. The first thing which we want to talk about is how do we ramp up ammunition production. This is actually like the proverbial chicken and egg situation. Ki pehle kaun aaya? Ammunition production facilities are required to be ramped up in the country. Why I say this is because the users or the government says that capacity needs to be increased by the industry. While the industry says, yes, we are willing, we want to set up production facilities and capacities. Where is the visibility of orders? And that is a very valid question. Is it? It's not only that you tell us that the orders will come, you have to tell us that the orders are here and you will receive these orders if you are able to serve these capacities. So there are a lot of challenges. I would start off today's session from the industry. Two industries. One of them is one of the biggest industrial houses in India. And I would like to ask a very simple question. Ashok, what are the challenges being faced by the industry in establishing capacity in ammunition production?
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm so happy to be part of this panel where I think the people who can actually take decisions and resolve most of the problems are sitting here. So let me start. I'm from Adani Group. We are setting up, or we have actually set up Asia's largest ammunition park. The idea of setting up ammunition was exactly from where you started, that there's a huge requirement, and there's a huge requirement in the next couple of years which is coming in. And looking at the conflicts, what's happening either in Israel or in Ukraine, you realize that India needs to be self-reliant, because when a situation like this happens, it will become very difficult for us to be sustaining a war which is prolonged. We've always been thinking that there's going to be a war which will be, say, 15 days, 20 days, having war reserves. But if the war extends like what it's doing, even in Israel for the last couple of months or Ukraine for the last 2 years, we need to constantly feed the armed forces with ammunition, otherwise it will become very difficult. We have them supporting, but over and above that, private sector needs to step in. That was one of the reasons where we as Adani decided that we would get into ammunition to sustain and help the country overall. Again, coming to, do we have orders? No, we did not. We did not start with looking at orders coming in. We decided that this is the need of the country and we should put in capabilities and capacity in it. So we already inaugurated our first plant, which was a small caliber ammunition. Today, yes, we don't have an order there, but the plant is fully operational. It's state of art with the best in class technology, best in class processes, fully automated. But we are now looking at how that can help the armed forces. Now coming to where the problem exists and where the challenges are. The first challenge which anyone in India would face, or like private sector is facing, till now, ammunition has been forefront of OMP, which means the government gives all the orders on nomination basis to MI. With private sector, the policies need to be changed, that if a company or multiple companies in India are setting up those capabilities, you need to give an open tender where anyone can compete, and that's how you would